I'm an atheist personally. Yeah, and I'm happy just to be an atheist.
Right. So how do we get here?
I don't know, but you know what I mean? I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I have some interesting ideas. You know what I'm saying? Look, I mean, what I will say to you is this, yeah? I'll say to you that we have to really ponder over that question for a little bit, yeah? Because how we got here might give us some indication as to why we are here, and that might give us some indication as to where we're going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, do you think we got here as a result of there being nothingness, which created something somehow, or that something came out of nothing? Or do you believe that maybe some kind of creator?
I want some proof, man. I want some proof.
What's your proof?
I
What's your
proof?
Yeah?
You know what I mean?
What's your what's the kind of proof that would satisfy you, Albert?
Some real evidence, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like some. I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. But
Give me some proofs in your life which have made you convinced of something.
I can't really think, to be honest. Proof, I know, I see something happen, I know it's happened, you know what I mean?
So,
Did
okay.
that woman fall over, she fell over right in front of me, she tripped over the curb, I witnessed it all.
Yes.
She fell over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very good because now we're delving into something called epistemology, yeah?
Yeah.
Now what epistemology is how we know something. The theories of knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because there was a man, he's an atheist, very popular atheist. And by the way, if there's any book I'm going to recommend, yeah, from this atheist, it's this book. It's called The Problems with Philosophy. His name is Bertrand Russell, yeah? Very small book. And he spent some time in that book talking about epistemology. And he talks about how we know things.
Yeah.
So he said exactly like you, yeah? Maybe, you know, great minds think alike. Yeah? He said you can get to know something through empiricism. So this is sense datum. When you look at something, when you see something, when you hear something, like you just said, that's a valid way of getting to know something. We accept that, yeah? But he also said there are some things which we know intuitively. Some things which we don't need data to know. So this atheist, very intelligent atheist, he gave the example of mathematics. He said that even if you see more of whatever it is you see, it will not increase your understanding of mathematics. Mathematics is something, is a construct which is conceivable without seeing anything or hearing anything, right? So knowledge, we get to know things not just from what we see. We get to know things also from intrinsic concepts, things which we know intuitively. Okay? And this is something not only Bertrand Russell talks about, but also the Quran talks about. So it refers to ilmul yaqeen, which means knowledge of certainty. And then it refers to ayn al-yaqeen. Or ayn al-yaqeen is when you see something certainly to be the case. Now what you've said is more like ayn al-yaqeen. Ayn al-yaqeen is when you see something and you know it's certain. But you can also know something is certain without seeing it. For example, 2 + 2 = 4. Okay?
That guy, what's his name? 2 + 2 is 4 minus. That's what you sat there when you said that.
Which one?
The other guy I didn't see on the YouTube, man. What's his name? That guy's name. Big Shaq. Big Shaq.
Oh, I didn't see this.
You ain't seen it?
Oh,
That thing, man. The way you said it is how he says it. He goes 2 + 2 is 4.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not aware of this. I'm not aware of Big Shaq.
Big Shaq, he's like
Okay.
famous. Go on.
I don't know him. Okay? You know, I don't know. But 2 + 2 = 4, that's something we know.
Yeah.
Okay, without seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay, easy. All right. So we accept that there are some things we know without seeing, and some things we know and we see them. Okay. There is another method, and it's a method we all use without knowing that we use it.
Yeah.
It's called inference. Inference, defined by the dictionary, is a conclusion based on evidences. For example, give me anything around us here that is constructed. Give the example of a camera, okay? Or a bus or something, yeah? Now you look at a camera, you look at a bus. This is very straightforward thing. You look at a watch.
UFC.
How are you, my friend?
UFC. Is that Islam? UFC.
I'm still speaking.
Yes, it is Islam. Just like ISIS is Islam. No.
Okay, I'll talk to you about this.
Are you doing dawah or are you doing
Yes.
jihad? Oh, you wake up one day and say, okay, today I'm wrestling. I'm wrestling. Tomorrow I'm doing jihad. I'm doing dawah.
Do you know what? Let me answer one thing. Let me answer one thing. Didn't you know, my friend? Didn't you know, my friend? Dawah is jihad.
Dawah is jihad.
Dawah is jihad.
So God created dawah before he created jihad. God created jihad.
So you see, what I'm saying is, inference to the best explanation is when you see something and you come to a conclusion on it based on the evidences you see in front of you. The Arabs used to say, "Al-ba'iratu tadulla al-ba'ir." The droppings of the camel indicates that the camel was there. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is, when we see things like the universe, the laws of nature, laws of physics, the fact that there could have been an infinite amount of things that the... Assalamu alaikum. Oh, sorry. There could have been an infinite amount of possible... Well, they could not say infinite. I'm using that vernacularly, But there could have been an X amount of possibilities of universes which couldn't maintain any kind of life. Yet we live in a universe which allows human life specifically to exist, along with all kinds of other life. All of these for me are evidences. And the best explanation I can find is that the universe has been intentionally designed. That's my best explanation. So in the same way, don't worry about him, just try and ignore him. Oh yeah. In the same way as we see the bus or the train or the plane or whatever it may be, and we infer design from that, the question is, how did the universe become so intricate, perfectly designed? How would you answer this? I mean, if you think about it. Wouldn't you say it's something to do with, doesn't it indicate that there was an intelligence behind it?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right. So if we have now a choice to make, whether we believe in a universe that has been designed by a creator, who not only designed it but also allowed it to exist. That's one option. And we have another option, is that it either came from nothingness, which is a mathematical impossibility, or that it was in a chain of infinite universes, which again is a logical impossibility. Which of those two things would you accept?
Yeah, of course.
The creator, yeah? All right. So if that's the case, the question is, if we believe in a creator now, and we understand the evidences of the creator, my question to you would be, what is the purpose of our lives?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of your life?
Just to enjoy it, enjoy my family, have some love and laughter, get on with everyone of each kind, colour, race, anything.
I'm really happy with you've got a very, positive, you've got a very positive attitude, and I really commend you for that.
I wish I could think out the box, yeah. What's out the box, you know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
Why are we here? What are we doing?
Exactly, right?
Was one person put on earth, or was there 1,000 people put on earth at the same time? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That sort of question.
So what I will say to you is this. I will say to you that we here on the earth are built for a purpose.
Yeah.
We're literally built for purpose, okay? And that the reason why we exist on this universe is to come to terms with the creator that created us. That's all it is.
That's all.
That's all it is.
Once everyone believes, what's going to happen?
Pardon?
And once everyone believes, what's going to happen?
What do you mean by that?
You said once everyone believes there's a creator, and we accept it.
Yes.
Well, that's it. Then we just live our lives.
It benefits them. So human beings have free will.
He was telling me about how it benefits you by being a believer, and I
Yes.
can relate.
Yes.
But it also restricts me from wanting to do stuff I wanted to do.
Like what?
Muhammad. I stopped reading it. I said,
There's multiple things.
Tell me, Tom.
Go with a prostitute.
Prostitute, yeah.
Stealing.
why would they say
Stealing,
Muhammad?
all right.
From shops.
Okay, no problem. What else? What else you want to do? No joking.
I've told this guy already.
No, go on.
Cheating.
Yes.
Sleep with multiple women.
That one we can work on that. All right.
Work on it, yeah.
Yeah, we can work on this one. All right. What else? Because we'll tell you about the rules of
Not
Islam.
praying 5 times a day.
Okay. Yes.
It's a bit like, you know what I mean?
All right. Look.
I'll do it once.
Look. Let me tell you
Maybe 5
something. All right.
times.
Let me tell you. Islamically speaking, you're right on many of those issues. Yeah. You know about Islam. I'm happy you know about the basic kind of injunctions of Islam. Yeah. 5 prayers a day and these things. Let me tell you one thing I hope you remember. Most things which are seemingly restrictive have a serious purpose behind them.
Okay.
Look, let me tell you something about life. Okay, and maybe you can relate to me. Maybe you can relate with what I'm about to say right now. Yeah? Do you mind, where's Naveed? Naveed? Can you call Naveed? Because this guy's becoming a bit too excited. Alright, forget about it.
I'm like a barrier.
Yeah, sorry. Do you know what's one? What? Do you know what? Do you know one thing in life which is guaranteed?
Yeah.
That's
Your
definite.
brother taught me.
But another one. For human beings, it's almost guaranteed that we're going to feel pain. Yeah? Do you know the secret of life I've come to realize in my short life, yeah? I've come to realize is that to be successful in life, we have to deal with different kinds of pain all the time. And in order to be really successful, we have to learn to take ourselves out of our comfort zone consistently. Whether that be our spiritual comfort zone, our psychological comfort zone, or our physical comfort zone. You're obviously riding a bike. The reason why you're riding a bike might be health related. It might be, right? But you've realized that the pain of riding the bike and the exhaustion that you might feel overrides the pain of being obese or otherwise unhealthy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And just as you've made that conscientious physical decision, it makes sense sometimes for you to make a conscientious spiritual decision. You've done something which is healthy for your body. We say Islam is healthy for your soul, for your spirit. In the same way as doing kinds of exercise helps you physically, okay? Then we would say Islam is a purification for the soul. Yes, it does necessitate coming out of your comfort zone. It does necessitate doing things which are seemingly restrictive, but they have fruits, or it has fruits which it bears straight away in your life. And I'll tell you one thing, I mean, this is a general principle, yeah? I don't know if you accept this or you don't. But I always say, the pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. And that goes in all spheres. The mental sphere, the psychological sphere, the physical sphere, and the spiritual sphere as well. Do you know all of those things that you mentioned, prostitution and these things? They will haunt you in this world, in your daily life, before they haunt you in the hereafter. All of those things are symptoms of an undisciplined self. Someone who goes and steals, someone who goes and abuses women in prostitution, puts themselves at risk of getting STDs, and those women at risk of getting STDs, and doing these things. That's not a celebration of human achievement. By the way, you know, John Stuart Mill, because a lot of the stuff that you were talking about is really liberalism. Do whatever you want so long as you don't harm, except for stealing and prostitution, possibly. But John Stuart Mill made some really interesting comments to do with liberalism. You know what he said? He said that when he talks about liberalism and the ability to do whatever you want, he didn't want people to think in that bestial, hedonistic way, which is like an animal. He didn't want people to think like animals. He wanted people to really celebrate human achievement through education and intellect. And so that's where liberalism means the most for me, yeah, because it allows you, yeah, to navigate the world of falsehood, in a sense, because you have an open sphere to do that. That's his whole thing. You have to try and find the truth somehow, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing you could do with your criticality and the fact that you live in a world that's less restricted is try and find the truth. And I'm saying to you right now that the truth is what we started off with in this conversation. The truth is that we came from somewhere. We came from a creator that created us in this world.
Yeah.
And we're going somewhere. Have you ever considered the following question? What happens when you die?
Just going to dream.
That's it.
Going to a dream.
Have you ever considered it?
Dream forever.
I like that. Very good. So there's two interesting answers here.
I see
One of
you
the-
get buried.
Yes.
Gone.
You're saying get buried, you're gone, so it's like TV switch off.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying it's like a dream. Two really interesting answers, yeah? Let me tell you something. You know science?
Yeah.
Science is the study of patterns and regularities of the natural world that have happened historically. And we'll use that historical information to predict what's going to happen in the future. Isn't that what we do? We use the historical information of patterns and regularities that have existed in the historical past to predict what's going to happen in the future. For
If it's
example,
scientifically proven, like if you take that role,
Yeah.
that will happen, then that's it proven, isn't it?
well, let me give you an example, easy example.
That's an
If
easy
I get this cup here and I drop it, we know that that's the law of gravity in action, right? Now, I like your answer to the question in a way, because I asked him what happens when you die. He said you dream. You know why he said you dream? Because he's dreamed before. He's dreamt before in the state of sleep. And the state of sleep is the closest thing we have as a measuring point for what death is, because sleep is an unconscious state. Sleep is literally when you lose your consciousness.
Yeah. You can
see.
sin and not be punished.
Yeah? Sleep is literally where you lose your consciousness. So when you die, you lose your consciousness. Now let me tell you something that's never happened when you sleep. It's never been the case when you sleep that you didn't wake up, number one. It's never been the case, unless you're in a coma or something, in which case we can make an exceptional case. But it's never been the case for me and you, let's say, that you've never woken up from sleep. Number two, most human beings have experienced dreams, which is a world which is outside this world. So, if we're using a scientific approach, his answer is better than your answer, and I'll tell you why. He's saying that, and you're both atheists, so no problem here. He's saying that the historical past, from his experience, he's dreamt. So he's saying that that's likely to happen in the future. We're saying the same thing as religious believers. We're saying that sleep is the sister of death. Like the Prophet Muhammad said that sleep is the sister of death. And we believe, just as you wake up from sleep, you will wake up from your ultimate sleep. And just as you dream, you will go into another world. So our approach is more concurrent with a scientific approach. Because all of the things that have happened before in your life and my life indicate to the fact that when we're unconscious, we experience another reality. And we also wake up, so to speak, from our reality, from that reality. The Islamic model is just that, is that you will wake up again, you'll rise again on the day of judgment. There will be another forum, another domain, another reality.
Like in reincarnation.
Not reincarnation. So what we believe is that God created us, as we've been talking about, and that He's judging us, He's testing us, and that we will be, well, after we die, we will be raised again. Literally raised again. Yeah, physically raised again. Just like plants are raised again.
In another human body, you say?
Your own self. Your body will be resurrected from fingertip to toe. You'll be completely reassembled. Just like when you have a seed of a plant. You know, you have the genetic information in that seed. It's not controversial. You might think, well, this is out of this world. It's a high thesis. It's not really. Because when you have a plant, or when you have a seed, and it stores all that genetic information, and you put it into the soil, if God wants, and He does, that will come back as a plant. And it will resemble the same plant. So why is it so difficult to believe, subhanAllah, that we'll be put into the earth and that God will resurrect us again in the same form with the genetic information that we have.
But then if it's like a seed, it's a seed from a plant.
Yes.
So then it grows again. So the theory would be then if you die, then you become a seed again, so you become a baby again, so you become an adult again.
Yeah, so the genetic information of our remnants will be used by God to recreate the human being. Now, we'll be resurrected on this day of judgment.
Would you like to also raise
The coccyx bone. Yeah, so some hadiths say that there's a coccyx bone, which is in the back. But even if the person's been cremated, God will be able to resurrect that individual. Now, we believe that this forum of the Day of Judgment is a day of ultimate justice. Yeah, it's in fact restorative justice. That's what it is. All of the injustices because if you believe in injustice and justice, all of the injustices that we have committed against each other will be restored on the Day of Judgment. Will be restored, and then the ultimate fate of that human being will be determined. And that's where we believe in heaven and hell. Now, there's only two major world religions that really believe in heaven and hell.
But let's say Judgment Day. What's that? The day you die?
That's the day of So Judgment Day is the day we're raised up again. And it's the day when we are let to know about what we've done. So everything that we've done in this life will be exhibited in front of us. The Quran says, whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it then. And whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it then, an atom's weight. So everything will be seen by God, and you will see. It's kind of like a match analysis. You know when a football match is done, then you have, but it will be an intricate one where every little detail of your life will be scrutinized. Absolutely, yes.
That'll take 53 years to scrutinize my life.
No, it will take more than that. So it will take up to 50,000 years. Now, how would that happen? We'll be resurrected in certain bodies, but some scholars say, well, 50,000 is a number for disbelievers, and it will be less for whatever. But the idea is it will take a long time. Yeah. This time is the sorting out process. So you know you've been given the right deal. There's not going to be any injustices on that day. La dhulma al-yawm. The Quran says there will be no injustice that day. Even the animals, everything. So after that, you then have the divine gardens, which we call Jannah. And you have the eternal abode of hell. Now hell is a fire. Literally is a fire. It's a fire which burns the human being and scalds him. In fact, it's the worst possible punishment you can envisage and imagine. And the only reason why it was created is because certain human beings on this planet called Earth were the worst of creation. Who are the worst of creation? The worst of creation are those individuals, who have failed to meet the basic human function, who are on this planet Earth. Everything else in this universe is abiding by the laws of physics. Everything else in this universe is submitting to the laws of God. Whereas this rogue agent, if you like, this maverick, has decided to go against the grain and to go against the purpose of life and not fulfill the basic human function. So by doing this, they have convinced themselves to commit the ultimate transgression and have earned the ultimate torment, which is a punishment for eternity. But for someone to earn that punishment, they would have to have been exposed to the message, like you are being exposed to the message right now. The Quran says, وَمَا كُنَّا
I wasn't going to go
مُعَذِّبِينَ.
to hell before I come here. Now I've listened to you.
No.
I might go to hell.
The Quran says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. We are not. Well, it says in chapter 17, verse 15.
Don't you speak Arabic.
It says that we weren't going to destroy a people or punish people until we sent them a messenger. Now, a messenger means anybody. Anyone here that comes and reminds the human being of their purpose. Because our purpose in life has not only been made so evident, it's blatant, it's painfully obvious. That's what it is. It's painfully obvious when you look at the stars and the surrounding, that there was some kind of creator behind it. It's so painfully obvious that human being has not only been given that, but he's also been given intrinsic ability to recognize God called the fitrah. But it's not because of those things, it's despite those things that God will then punish human beings, because then the message is given to remind the human being of his purpose. So three things. You have what you call the ayat al-kawniyah, where you have the creation around you to remind you of God. You have within yourself, وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. Inside yourself you have this fitra to remind you of God's existence. Then you have the ayat of God, or which are the signs and evidences of God that come in the form of revelation and messengers that give you clear evidences. And then the person, if they reject all of that, then they are now eligible for the hellfire. Now they are eligible for the hellfire. That is a kafir. That is the one who will enter the hell and stay in the hell forever and ever and never come out of. It will never come out of the hell. In fact, the punishment will only intensify in the hellfire for that individual.
You don't think that's harsh?
It's very harsh.
I don't believe and now I'm going to be punished for it.
So the Quran says, "Isbiru aw la
I
tasbiru."
haven't seen no scientific proof. No.
Let me tell you
Like
something.
say he hasn't opened up the clouds and gone.
Let me tell you. Hold on. So we'll come to that. Sorry. So let me just. I'm being honest. So I'm being completely honest with you. The Quran says, "Isbiru aw la tasbiru, sawa'an alayhim." So be patient in the hellfire, or don't be patient. It doesn't matter, because patience does not carry any weight in that situation in the hellfire for those individuals. Now we talked about hell. Let's talk about the heaven quickly, just so you know our model. Heaven for us is literally a place where you get everything you want.
7 virgins.
You don't have 7.
Fuck it, I'm off there now then.
Every Muslim man gets 2 women as standard. Now there is a hadith in the Tirmidhi that says you get 72 in addition. Now this hadith has been criticized, but really I believe it's authentic hadith. I believe it's an authentic hadith. And hopefully it'll be authentic, even if they say it's weak. So the point is this, I feel like some people now in the West, they criticize the hadith of the virgins. It's the most ridiculous thing. Why? Because you have intercourse in heaven. It's not the same intercourse that we have in this earth. It's not fraught with the imperfections and the blemishes of the bestial act that is sexual intercourse on this earth. In fact, what it is a pure act which will benefit both parties, right? And it's not just something men will get, it's something women will get as well. Some people say, well, okay, well, the feminist argument, or some other people say, well, how comes you have women serving men in the heaven, and you don't have men or boys serving women? Well, this is not correct, because they haven't read the Quran. The Quran says there will be ghilman, there will be young boys as well, or young men, also serving men and women. There will be wildan and ghilman. These words are used in chapter 56 of the Quran, chapter 55 of the Quran, chapter 76 of the Quran, talking about these people that will serve. So it's not like there's nothing to do with gender here. It's just the reality that human beings have certain cravings, as we know from society, and certain you were talking about what you want to do.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go and turn around and say, "No, I want to sleep with X amount of women." This is the first thing you said to me today. And now when we talk about the virgins, 7 virgins, so isn't that what you wanted all along? Do you know what I'm saying? So you'll get what you want. We just have to be patient. Now the point I'm making to you is this. Basically, heaven, the Prophet said, "Ma khatara ala qalbi bashar." It's something which no human being can actually imagine. So although the descriptions of heaven and hell are very much vivid and have a lot of imagery, they cannot be, the actual heaven and the actual hell can never be actually grasped by human beings, because we've never experienced these things. Going back to our original epistemology, we can only envisage that which we have experience of. We have no experience of these domains, so we can't even begin to imagine what they'll actually look like and be. But it suffices to say, heaven is where you get everything you want and more, and there'll be no pain, and everything will be pleasurable. And hell is the opposite. Everything will be painful and there'll be no pleasure at all.
Can I ask one thing? Is that a good place to start off to try and get people to convert to Islam? Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm just telling you about the basic.
I say, listen.
Yes.
Come over to Islam. You fucking get 7 virgins. You get all this and that. Or if you don't, you're gonna go to hell. Now I've told you. Do you understand? Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
Is that a good way to get people in and say, listen?
No.
Become a Muslim,
my function here
is that correct? Though?
I can see what you're saying.
Thank you.
Usually I don't go around telling people this, yeah, but I don't put it in the way that you put.
I'm not trying to scrutinise.
No. You're like, I like your way, Albert.
Friends, man.
No, I like you,
That's
man.
what I want.
But I'm just telling you the basic beliefs, because it's very important that we know what we believe in. All right, so that's what we believe in. What I call you to is to worship God. That's what I'm pulling you to.
One quick one, is sort of, before I forget it. If God created us all,
Yes, yes.
why has He created so many different diversities and so many